Hello, everyone. Welcome to this exciting event of Sanjay Might Have an Answer. Well, the person in front of you really doesn't need an introduction. You already know him. He is our very own chairman and CEO of MSIS Group, Sanjay Sehgal. Um, since you all know Sanjay Sehgal very well, we'll not do a much of an introduction. But just to give you a gist, Sanjay is a global leader who carries the vision to deliver the best in IT services and automation software services to a lot of organizations. He's honored with a lot of numerous awards. He's also been the most innovative digital transformation CEO for 2019 and many other awards. He's a compulsive entrepreneur and, most importantly, a heartful businessman. Now, Sanjay sir, a warm welcome to you. How are you feeling today before we go ahead, sir?
So far, so good. I'll see what else is coming down the pipe.
All right, sir. It's always a pleasure to meet you, sir. And so it's yet again a wonderful experience to have a chat with you over here. Now, on this platform, we've gathered some questions for you from all the people who know you. Uh, since they look upon you, they would like to ask you certain questions relating to their career or some advice on their personal life. So we'll pop up these questions one by one. I'll share the questions and you can help us share some light on it. Now, the very first came from Balaji Ramakrishnan. He's asking, is MSIS considering work from home? And since work from home is giving him time to take care of his family, so he would be happy if you can consider work from home at least 2 days in a week. What are your views on it, sir?
Sure, uh, Shantanu. Nice question, and I know it's there in the minds of many people, whether they work for MSIS or some other company. So I'll think I'll remind everyone at MSIS that MSIS has been one of the first companies to implement work from home. We have been doing that even before the pandemic era because that's, I think, we felt the productivity and taking care of families, they are two important things that every employee should be able to do. They shouldn't have to sacrifice one for the other. So we always had that, and for that we provided them laptops, provided them with VPN access and all other things that are needed, and in many cases, the internet hotspots and all that stuff. And that continues. So flexibility that we have had in our operation will continue even post-pandemic when everyone is vaccinated. And I think we, first of all, will not be in a rush to ask people to come to work because our work continues. And I think so. We are not in a rush, though some people, I'm sure, some groups are very eager to get back. And we had implemented in between the first wave and the second wave, sales teams had started coming to the to office because they were dying to meet each other and meet the clients and everything. And we might do the same after a few months and allow some people in small groups to come. But eventually, I think when it all settles down, I feel this is going to be a new era for everyone, not just for themselves. A lot of companies, and including us, we have been talking about, I would say, some people call it 4-3-2 or 3-4-2. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, there are, or sorry, I shouldn't say the numbers wrong. People will 3-2-3 or 2-3-2, right? 2 days work from home, 3 days coming to work, and 2 days off, or 3 days coming to work, 2 days home. I mean, like in some combination. So work from home. Good news is work from home is here to stay. And I could have simply said, wait for HR policy to be announced, like everybody else is diplomatically. But I think I'd rather give you a definitive answer so that you can rely on it for years to come and be assured that you will not be asked to sacrifice taking care of your family uh, for doing better work in the office. Hope it answers your question.
I think that answers the question for a lot of people. A lot of people have had that doubt for quite some time. What is the post pandemic era going to be like? And it's quite exciting to know that MSIS is also thinking on the similar lines, just like all the big tech companies. So coming to the next question, it is coming from Kana. He's asking something on the leadership. Uh, he says he's asking, what is the most important challenge you faced in your life, and how were you able to overcome it?
There have been many, I would say. You know, uh, if I look back, I mean, the decision to move to US that nobody in my entire family had ever been to, and that was not the era where we all had internet and all these voice over IPs or WhatsApps or instant messaging that we can call somebody, hey, I'm coming, and all that stuff. None of that was there, and so moving there was a very, very challenging thing. And then, of course, when I switched from a contracting position that I had in California to a full-time job in Atlanta, that was another, I mean, a decision to be made, because that really meant me really, closing my ties with my Indian company, and not, I mean, and deciding to stay or continue staying in US. But I would say the toughest, I would say, still the one which will take the cake is the when I decided to move from engineering to marketing and then to sales. I think those days I would say that I'll move to the dark side, meaning the marketing and sales. Though later on, many times people heard me saying I moved away from the dark side. It depends on whom I'm talking to. But regardless, I think sales and engineering, they're always kind of two different, two very, very important, but yet two completely different sides of the to company building or product building or a job, or however you look at it. I think for me, I always looked at it as from the company building, and I was motivated by, at that time, by my mentor, who said that you already know engineering, so it would be good for you to know one more trade, one more trick of the trade, or one more profession, and that was marketing. When I had the opportunity in 1996, long time ago, when I think back now, many of you may not have even been born at that time. So I think, I mean, I did take the plunge, and only after taking the plunge I realized how good I was at that. So I think I got to know both engineering and sales and marketing, and that really helped me bridge the gap between the two, because often they are two in different silos. Sales guys are too much into sales. I In one of the other sessions I was talking about this. Both are weirdos in a way. I mean, for an outsider who doesn't know either of those, he will look at them and say they are weirdos. Because the sales guys are always thinking about, we have to be a weirdo to go back to the same customer again and again, despite him saying no. And I know I did it myself. So I think I was a weirdo of one kind later on, but prior to that, I was weirdo of another kind. An engineering guy is only thinking about his product, forgetting everything else, not even the market, customers, or his family. So I think, but you need to be able to do good work in whatever you do. You have to be a weirdo of some kind. And in all this, I would say, meditation that I have been doing almost at the same time when I moved to US had helped me a lot, and it helped me with staying focused and having that will to keep moving despite the challenges that I faced.
So one question that arises: which one is much more closer to your heart, sales or engineering?
It's a, I think I am not going to fall into that trap. Both are equally.
No,
they are
no, that
they're as close to my heart as they could be. You know.
now you're trying to be diplomatic. We were
And
thinking
no,
of
I'm not
discussing
diplomatic. See, it's like, once you transcend, I mean, as I said, I have done both, so I can be either as the situation requires or demands. In front of a client, I could be a head of engineering, explaining to him details of our product, or talking to him about the business model, financial engineering, and all those things that he really wants to, that will really help him sell what proposition we are giving to him to his management. And I have proven that multiple times. Many clients say that, I think, because I've come from, I have both the DNAs in me. There are 23 chromosomes, so I'm sure I have 50-50 and one for something else, maybe 11 each, and then one for something else, 23, right?
That's rightly said. But we still would like to know, how does it feel managing both the sides now? Now, since you don't want to take any partiality on either of the sides, how does it feel managing both sales and engineering and heading a company like MSys now?
No, I think, like I said, I think it's not that I don't want to take the sides. I think I have taken the sides. I have been in both. So I have that very unique credentials, I may say, you know, of being able to, if you may want to call it, ride on two boats at the same time, right? Or merging the two boats. So I think because I was on one boat and then switched the boat, I was able to merge them into a bigger ship, right? And that is a very unique credential. I have met many CEOs, who are very strong in one or the other, and they are not able to empathize with the other side, right? If they are very strong coming from the sales side all their career, they are not able to appreciate what engineering has to go through. And so then there's always a gap in their understanding versus understanding of of the engineering management. And of course, I mean, there are always ways of aligning your management. You have a very strong CTO or strong EVP of engineering, so that you don't have to worry about it. But I never had that problem, because I'm able to understand or empathize with both sides equally well. I know how difficult it is to sell, and how difficult it is to build a successful, first of all, complete a product, and then make it successful. And I think these are not jokes. That's why there are only very few successful companies out there. People think it's very easy. No, these things are not easy. They say 95% of the products which get started never see the light of the day. Same thing is being said about the deals that get started in the sales. I mean, recently I read in Wall Street Journal that they were talking about how in a post-pandemic economy in US, so many sales jobs are there, but very few takers. Now, why? Think about it. Why people are not taking those jobs? Because they think there is a certain element of risk, right? That is there, right?
I agree with your point there. Now, coming on to the next question, it's really an exciting question coming from Tarun. He says, Sanjay, how can you manage the company and write different types of articles frequently on social media, especially on LinkedIn, and you keep yourself active on so much of video content? What's the secret sauce?
I it's a my even my wife asks me that sometimes. How do you find time? I think I have too much time at hand, I guess. I think in the COVID era, when we all are home, so it does give you some extra time, right? I mean, you don't have to travel or think about all these other things. But I think I would, I mean, in fact, I had recorded a video on this, that how to raise your productivity or increase efficiency. I think, if you see, they say 90% of our brain or our potential we don't use. On an average, I think 8 to 10%. On an average, a human being uses only 8 to 10% of its brain's potential. So remaining 90 to 92% we don't use. Other stat I'll present to you is, they say on an average a human being has 60,000 thoughts a day. And again they say 90% of the thoughts are the same that you had yesterday. Think about all these stats, right? And then there's another study recently by Harvard, some professor. They say that a human mind, they say, uh, is a very, what should I say, disturbed mind, or distributed mind, and it is always thinking about negative things. I mean, more than 50% of the time it thinks about negative things. And then they say, for every to nullify a single negative thought, you need to have three positive thoughts. Combine all these things, you'll get the answer. I think, and I'll tell you a joke also to prove this point further. They say that there was a centipede, an insect with 100 legs. And he was walking happily, 100 legs. I mean, the guy is kind of royally walking all the time, going faster than anybody else, though even though his legs are very short and all that. But somebody asked him once, how do you know which leg to put first? And he kept thinking, and he could never walk for several years. What it teaches you is that I think we think thinking is good. Actually, thinking in majority of the cases is not good. If you can make your lifestyle full of instinctive things. Do you think before breathing? I mean, how many breaths we take a day? I mean, I don't have that stat, but I'm sure that's a big number, right? We don't think. Do we think before, doing many other? I mean, taking shower or taking. We get up, go to bathroom, and start brushing our teeth. We don't think. When we start thinking about things which could very well be natural to us, instinctive to us, I think it slows us down. I have a very funny story that I often tell, that once I was walking into my office and my director of marketing, he had just joined at that time. I think his name was, let's call him Joe at that, I don't remember the name now. And he came up to me, he said, Sanjay, should we go for lunch? I said, we'll go for lunch. It was around 9 o'clock when I walked into the office. So we made a plan to go for lunch. And I went to my office, he went to his office. And 20 minutes later, he called me again. He said, oh, what time do you want to go? I said, well, you decide. He said, 12:30. I said, okay, 12:30 it is. I'll see you in the lobby. And then another call. What do you want to eat? I said, I'm vegetarian. So any ethnic food in America, I think vegetarian food is not that easy to find. So we always have to be selective. So Chinese, Thai, Italian, these kind of things, they have vegetarian choices, of course, Indian too. So I said, just find any ethnic restaurant. Generally, they have good vegetarian option, and I'm good with that. Needless to say, another call, and he found some new restaurant. He wanted me to see it. Then, before he could go on further, I said, Joe, for me, lunch is one of those things that I know I have to do. You invited me, I'll join you, but I don't want to think further about it. Now, that tells you, on an average, we all spend so much time thinking about things that should just be natural to us. And I'm so not saying that you shouldn't enjoy food, but we all eat 3, 4, 5 meals or 3, 4, 5 times in a day. If every time you spend 20 minutes thinking about it, what I'm going to have for chai, yeah, I'm going to have samosa or kachori, what I'm going to have for coffee, am I going to have cookie or this? I mean, think about it. I mean, it's endless. If you spend your time in all these things, what I'm going to watch, how good it is going to be, who's acted in it, who else is going to be watching with me. I mean, there is 60,000 thoughts can easily become 160,000 thoughts, and now that tells you that you don't have time for anything else. So I have told you, my secret is I try to make things instinctive in my life. Many of these things, including these recordings and all, I don't think too much. Your question was sent to me, I didn't think about the answer. I thought I'll get there an answer. And even though some team members have given me some points, but none of these points that I'm mentioning are mentioned there. I'm just going about it in sharing my experience. And other is my desire, my inkling to share all these things with you all. That keeps me going. I think that is, I would say, perhaps the best thing I can share with you, because if you want to do something, we can find a way to do it, right? Let's say, if you really have decided to marry a girl or marry a boy, you will find a way to do it. If you want to change the job or take up a new job, you'll find a way to do it. Same way, if you want to do certain things which others may think are not very important, I want to share with you all. Others may not be thinking it to be very important. I think it's very important. So I really find a way to do it. Very good question, Karun, and I hope I have given you the answer or many answers. And there are now, if I can tell you, there are many articles embedded in it, and all these will come out one after the other.
Sanjay sir, it's quite inspiring every time you've been sharing so much of insight. We've been seeing people talking about how their lives have changed just by reading those articles or watching your videos. Thank you so much for sharing all those things. Next question is coming from someone I think you know, Rajneesh Singh. Uh, Rajneesh says, Namaste, uncle. How are you? Loads of wishes for you. My question is, how do I practice heartfulness living in corporate life? I work with SDFC. I work as a banker, and with the hectic hours from 9:30 till 9 p.m. in the evening, I am overloaded with work. I sometimes
I think I missed you. Hello. Okay, I think I can read the question. So my question is, how do I practice heartfulness living a corporate life? Being an HDFC banker with hectic hours from 9:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. and overload of work, I find it difficult to handle the schedule of evening cleaning. I have become irregular in my practice, though I do remember my master. Please guide me. How should I handle it?
correct.
You know, I will ask Rajneesh. Very good question, and I would say that perhaps just not you. Many people have this question, and I myself struggled with it many times when I started heartfulness after I moved to US, and of course I was also in a I would say an entry level job, and where a lot was expected out of me, and I had long hours, weekend also working. Every Friday my boss will come to me and says, so I think this will be ready by Monday, right? And it means that he's expecting me to come over the weekend 2 3 times and finish the work. So I think, of course, all these things we all have been through, and I can share with you on the other side how I manage these things. See, it is similar to the answer I gave to the earlier question, that make these things instinctive. Despite being busy, we always find time to sleep. Despite being busy, we always find time to brush our teeth, having our morning tea, eating, right? These, because they are part of our life, make meditation part of your life. So what I, in these kind of things, what I used to do was, of course, and heartfulness, fortunately for all of us, is very flexible. And I think that is one thing which we never highlight in many times when we talk about heartfulness, that it is very flexible. If you get up at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, there were times when I used to get up at 9 o'clock. I'll meditate for 15 minutes, not full 1 hour or half hour. I'll meditate for 15 minutes. Then when I sit for lunch, I'll do my cleaning. We have something called a concept of emergency cleaning, which Daji talks about. Do it multiple times a day. And then when you come home, you don't find time to do cleaning. You quickly eat, go to bed. While going to bed, just start doing your cleaning, and you will find your sleep will become better, because all the load after that 12, 13, 14 hour of work is there on your head. It will get washed off. And I have had experience, Rajni, where you start the cleaning before you go, as you're about to sleep, and you feel the whole night as if the whole night was cleaning, and you get up fresh, as if everything has been washed off. Imagine if we can reach a state like that. See, heartfulness is not just about doing certain practices at certain times of the day for a certain amount of time. It's about imbibing that in your life. It is about becoming that. And in fact, I would say Master has given you an opportunity to become that, because you don't have time to think about all these other things that I mentioned in my previous key, what I'm going to eat, what I'm going to cook, what I'm going to do, because you're so busy, which is a blessing. So you start your morning with meditation, however short. During the day, do multiple times whenever you find time. I am not ashamed to share. Often I would go to the restroom, sit there for 5 minutes and do my cleaning. I'm not ashamed about it. How does it matter? Because it's only the mind that we're cleaning, right? In a conference room, in a meeting, with my eyes open, and I mean, I don't know whether you drive yourself or you're sitting in the car beside someone. I mean, you can do that if that's an opportunity for you. Travel time, and of course, I mentioned to you about night time. Once Daji had mentioned that once you can learn to make your sleep productive, you have found more than one third of your life back, spiritually speaking. If you can learn to make your sleep meditative, or full of cleaning. Imagine where how fast you will grow through all this. And I'm happy. I think if you can contact me personally through one of these means. My email address should also be on my channel, and I'm happy to give you a session myself and talk further about it, because your question shows that you really want to balance, and I'm happy to be your assistant to help you balance.
I think Rajneesh would like that. Uh, so coming to the next question, it's from Narendra Babu. What do you think are the best qualities of someone who is aspiring for a leadership role?
Narendra Babu, this is a very good question, and I have actually, if you go to my channel, I have some videos which I have recorded earlier, where I talked a lot about this leadership. There are many qualities of a leader, and uh, people may say focus, creative mind, dreaming big, being able to lead. But for me, it's most important is being able to earn the trust of the team. You know, as the popular saying goes, that people don't work for companies, people work for people. And I think it's very, once we understand that people that you are working with, once you earn their trust, you become a good leader. If you Even if you have been designated a leader, if you do not earn their trust, I think they are not going to be, I mean, looking forward to or looking up to you at all for any kind of guidance. So I think that's to me, leadership quality is needed for everyone. How they say, how did you lead your life? You may have heard that term. We're not talking about you being a leader in leading your life, leader in a corporate sense, but think about, same term is used there. How you have led your life or how you are leading your life, you need leadership for that too. Taking responsibility and earning the trust. I think these are the two things I would say, the most important qualities. Taking responsibility and earning the trust of people who are in any way dependent on you, whether in the family, on the road. How do you lead yourself through the traffic? There are people who are dependent on you, because you can be a rash driver and hit them or make them hit each other, or many things can happen. But if you're leading yourself well on the road, everything will be fine. Same thing at work, same thing in your personal, professional, and all kinds of things that you do. Hope that helps you.
We got the message from Narendra saying, "Thank you so much for answering my question." We'll quickly go on to the last question, and then we have some questions coming in live. We'll like to share it with you. So the last question is coming from Nitya. He's asking, how do you organize your time, and what is your advice on proper work-life balance?
I think last two question have I would say I have answered many of these things. That one is that I try to make things which I want to do as instinctive as possible, so there is not much thinking involved. You know, if I am, let's say, talking to any other position, any other person in a leadership position in my company, or a client, or I don't plan, think too much. I think I know I have enough experience in dealing with those things, and I let my experience come out in an authentic way, very. So I think being authentic is something has always helped me, in at least in the business life. They say that being, if you are the biggest quality a person looks for in a vendor or service provider or in a partner, is really being authentic and being genuine. And I think they like, once you have achieved those qualities, they like to really recommend you to everyone they know. And I think that's really helped me in business life. And I wouldn't say that I was always like that. I learned my lessons in a hard way. There were times where I was beaten because I felt that I mentioned things which I shouldn't have. But that's what life is all about, learning, right? So we learn now. After learned all that, at this stage, I can tell you, you should be genuine and authentic and lead a simple life as much as possible. Eliminate, keep essential things and eliminate the rest. I think we do have a lot of extra things. We all have. I mean, यहाँ जाना है, वहाँ जाना है, इसके यहाँ ये करना है, वो करना है. I mean, there is only so much you can do in life. Sooner you realize, better it is. I want to watch every single movie on Netflix. By the way, I do watch Netflix a lot, but there's no way I can watch every movie. So I just select. We all do that, isn't it? Same way in life. Remove the extraneous stuff. There was a time people used to ask me, how do you find time to do meditation? I say, well, I prior to that, I realized I was spending 3 to 4 hours watching TV when I was single. I eliminated that. I removed the TV. I sold the TV, gave it to somebody, and I got 3 to 4 hours back. And I could easily spend an hour in meditation, cleaning, and everything else, and still had 3 hours to spare on other things. So I think that's something. I would say, take ownership of your life, and that's what leadership is all about: leading your life in a most proper way, appropriate way that you think it is, right? So I hope it answers your question.
I'm sure it will answer Nitya's question. We have some live questions coming. This one is coming from Kiram Pore. He's asking, cautiousness is in action is needed to do meditation. How would it not be a conflict with being instinctive to you, as you said? Would like to understand better from you, Sanjay.
Not very. Is it cautiousness in action is needed to do meditation? No, it is not needed, Shiram. I think that's the myth people have. I think that's, I would say, unfortunately, there are a lot of meditation techniques which have propagated such things. There is nothing like this. Meditation is a simple process of sitting, thinking about that higher presence in your heart. That's what meditation is to me. Everything else, breathing, standing on one leg, jumping up and down, that is not real meditation. Those are other sides of yoga, philosophy of yoga. But when it comes to dhyana as a name, Sanskrit name, is focusing on one thing in you. And in heartfulness, we choose that higher presence in your heart. You focus on that. Everything else is, I'm not saying this bad, but they are for different reasons, different purposes. Those things cannot give you that higher level of consciousness that one is aspiring for through meditation. They're good for health. Pranayama is very good for health. Yoga is good for health. So Hatha yoga, the physical form of yoga. But these are not meditation. People have misunderstood meditation. And cautiousness in action, or let's say, if we refer to that in our Indian parlance as karma yoga, right? That comes out of that higher levels of consciousness that you would achieve through meditation. Once you're on North Pole, you can only go south, and wherever you go becomes south, isn't it? Think about it. You're a very smart guy, I know. If you're on a North Pole, you can only go south, and wherever you go, it will be south, isn't it? So imagine you reach a level of consciousness through meditation where every action of yours would not require cautiousness, but it will be the right action needed for that particular purpose, isn't it? To me, that is karma yoga, where you're not even thinking about the fruit, but because you can only do right without thinking about it. It ties into my thing of thinking also. you know
I think that will help Shriram. And definitely, Shriram is quite inquisitive about meditation as a technique to help overcome your uh, impressions in the life. You would definitely love to have a mentorship session from you. Next question is coming from Chetan Wag. I think he's coming up with his questions again and again. He's quite inquisitive to know how have you done any kind of mistakes in the past, and how have you been able to overcome it?
Well, there have been many. Now, living true to what I said, I don't think about things I don't need to think about. I don't like to think about those mistakes now. But, realizing that it requires overcoming your own ego. We all like to justify. See, knowingly, nobody makes a mistake. I have one thing I have realized in life: knowingly, I will not take a left turn. I'll take a left turn and realize that I made a mistake. Then I take a U turn and go back. Right? It happens when you're driving. Same thing in life. When I took the action, yes, it was not correct. But I didn't know that. I still went ahead and then realized my mistake, turned back. It happened many times. I mean, one it immediately pops up is that I did my first startup after 11 years of working. I wish I had done it sooner. I think I've shared that in some other discussions also. I wish I had started a lot earlier. I could have, but it didn't happen. So it's okay. No regrets. Right? It happened when it happened. Like that, there have been many. As I mean, life is full of mistakes and learning from it, doing course correction and moving on. But at that particular point in time, I didn't know any better, or else I would have done it earlier. So I don't regret about it. Now, realizing that mistakes, now brooding over it, make you regret, and then that's what adds more to that 60, 90,000 thoughts that one always talks about, right? So now you know how to overcome all those thoughts also.
I think because of the scarcity of time, we have a lot of questions coming up, but we'll take them up on the next session, same time next week. We'd like to
Sure.
thank you, sir, for this inspiring session for everyone. We wish to see you again next week.
Thank
Um,
you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Goodbye.